welcome to Chanel's Reality. I'm Chanel, and this is my reality. So today I wanted to come on here and talk about something. I don't talk about it a lot. I talk about my job, but I don't talk about I don't really talk about your patients and things like that. But um, and what they're kind of going through. Oh, if you decide to tune into this live, or if you catch it on the back end, you the replay crew, please hit the like button, subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. Um, hit all the buttons. So, anyways, one of the frequent illnesses that I do run into with my patients is dementia and Alzheimer's, or senile degeneration. And I try to, so my role as a hospice medical social worker is to really kind of so you work with the patients, you work with their caregivers, who their caregivers could be someone in a facility or a loved one, family member, husband, wife, things like that, right? But you work with them with regard to um, lots of different things. One of them is, unfortunately, planning their funeral. Let that sink in. But, most of what I do, or I would say my purpose, is to make sure I can help them with the grieving process, especially the initial stages when they're new on hospice and their loved ones don't know what to necessarily do. A lot of times they're very frustrated, worn out, overwhelmed, and tired. You know, so you have all of the people on the interdisciplinary team that is consists of a doctor, right? A nurse, um, some sort of spiritual leader. Sometimes it's a chaplain or a priest or whomever it is that you, like I said, spiritual leader that you confide in before passing, and then um, you have a medical social worker um, on the team, and what the doctors do and what the nurses do and what the CNAs. Those are like the nurses aides, LVNs. Their work is very concrete. So it's like fact, fiction, true or false, right? So the patient has high blood pressure, and then you have a number. The patient lost this many pounds, and you have a number. The patient is showing X on, to on the MRI. Let me just say, for the continued degeneration of their brain. Cognitive abilities are on the scale of this to this. So they're very specific and measurable, right? But if you're a social worker, a medical social worker like me, not so much. Now there are things that are very concrete, right? So do you have a DNR? So that's a do not resuscitate. Do you have a DNI? That's a do not intubate, I believe. Um, do you have a will? Do you have a medical power of attorney? Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have, like I said, a gravesite picked out? Do you want to be cremated? Or if you're talking to the loved ones, what they want to do, if they've hopefully made plans before that with, usually it's their parents a lot of times, or their spouse, that are in hospice, at least in my case, in my work. um, so there are some concrete things that a medical social worker can help with, but then there are things that we can't, so, and even with the doctors and all the medical staff, there are things that they can't either, because of whatever terminal illness they have, unfortunately, is killing them. It's going to cause their death. Sometimes you have patients that um, come onto your caseload, or whatever it is that they call it in whatever field, and They're on your caseload for a year. Some people are on there for 3 weeks. Some people are on there less than 24 hours. I've had like patients like that. They come onto my service, and before I can even get to them to do a psychosocial assessment, they they passed on. I want to talk a little bit about caregivers too, because a lot of caregivers, um, they get burnt out. They get burnt out, and there's multiple types of caregivers when I'm referring to like their family members, like husband, wife, daughter, son, auntie, niece, whomever it is, right? Typically they're family members. But these people a lot of times will provide, the care. So changing you, if you're 100% incontinent of bowel and bladder, that basically means you can't go to the restroom on your own. You're going to need a brief. Um, if you don't have your cognitive abilities are diminished, they have to talk for you at the doctor's office. You can't make your needs known. Those are called ADLs. But basically, you're very limited in a way. And a lot of times, you know, we hear about people moving people on, some crazy movie you're watching, or even if you're watching the first 48 or 2020 or whatever, and they, it's like, oh, this person, is 200 pounds. How would this 98-pound or 105-pound lady lift him up and get him into the grave and all that kind of stuff? Um, but imagine that in real life, meaning things that are actually really happening. You weigh 112 pounds, but your father who's passing, or your son, or your husband weighs 210 pounds. How are you really going to be able to provide the appropriate care? And then a lot of people don't realize, you don't, just because you're old and just because you're dying, or just because you're dying, it doesn't automatically mean you have money to die in a non-painful way. Let that sink in. I feel like death, and the process of death and dying, maybe it's because of what I do for a living, but I feel like people are beyond uninformed about the what the real is, the financial part of it. That's a whole nother story for another day. Okay, you can't afford it. Lots of people are on Medicare, and I'm not making this about politics or anything like that, but when people sit around on their high horses and say things like, well, we need to cut Medicare and we need to cut Medicaid. Imagine your mama dying of heart disease, or pulmonary disease, or kidney failure, or cancer, pancreatic cancer, whatever it is. Imagine them having to sell everything they own, and still it's not enough. Imagine them being approved to be able to live in a residential senior living facility, and then imagine those people not taking good care of them. And if you really want to get gritty about it, imagine you are in one of those community centers or facilities that's gritty and grimy, lifting your waist for over 21 hours or 24 hours, developing bed sores and infections, and you're already sick. I don't know, but I don't understand why people can't put it into perspective of what would you want someone to do for you if your condition was stomach cancer, colon cancer, throat cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, some of the ones that are the worst. How would you want your medical team to treat you? This is the type of stuff that I will never understand as a human being. Listen, I was born this way. I've said a million times I'm made for 5-star hotels and room service, but that's my fun part of my life. But my job is serious. It is serious business. And having to go and talk to families, and sometimes they don't even have any family. Let's keep it a book. So you go in there and you're talking to them, and I'm all bubbly, you know how I am. Hey, Miss So and So, I'm Chanel. I'm your medical social worker. I'll be here to help you with, the grieving process, anticipatory grieving process, planning your funeral. Do you want to be cremated? Do you already have a plot? But imagine you have no money. You're broke, right? Because you're having to pay all this money every single month to be in this facility that you can't afford. And you have idiots running around. Yes, this part is idiots running around America or wherever. They're so fucking entitled. Well, we don't have money for that, and I don't want my money. And it's like someone is fucking dying, and they would like to die with a little bit of dignity, and not all this humiliation and pain. Just saying. I think we need to push it into perspective sometimes. That's why I'm just like, we need to put things into perspective. Around the earth, mad about, their tires flat, their husband, leaving them or he cheating on them. The wife is checked out. She got three kids, two of them in prison. One of them's trying to go to nursing school. They don't have enough money to pay for it. Or just the other meaningless bullshit we get mad about. Like, oh, and listen, I'm part of the club. Why is my chicken overcooked? Why y'all didn't give me some French fries that's fresh? I know who I am. I know exactly who I am. So I know I'm part of that crew, and that's why I can, bring this information to us. Mainly because to inform you about some of these illnesses and the process of death and dying, but more so to put it in perspective about being grateful. Because a lot of people aren't. And it's one of those things that, in my opinion, we all lack, meaning we could all be more grateful, right? But you have to, I hate to tell people what to do, but I'll say it like this. It's good for the betterment of the greater good. I'm gonna say it like that. For the betterment of the greater good, meaning people beyond yourself, right? Or beyond your family and your particular community, the greater good. For us to try to find some level of kindness when you're speaking to the lady at the Popeyes that's taking your order and she taking too long. Having, respect for the man that's, you know, the janitor at your school or at your work. Imagine that being your job every day, having to clean up behind other people's waste. Some of the people that work with me, they're called CNAs. That's what some of them do all day long, 12 hours. They go from patient to patient, cleaning them up out of their waste because they're 100% incontinent. They can't go on their own. Imagine that's your job. And some of them do it with so much grace and dignity, and I love those people, but not everybody's like that. I've said before, I'm not built. I couldn't. I don't have the type of courage it takes to have my arms up, go to the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, whatever it is that those people do. I don't have that. I don't have that type of courage. But I have a whole lot of love and empathy, and I try to be sweet and kind to people. I don't always get it right, but we do what we can. I'm saying bring to the forefront what actually matters in your life, not just the things that you think are important. What actually matters in this life? Because I can tell you this for sure. There are plenty of people. They show up red on my tablet when they've passed away. And let me see. I have my tablet open right now. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you any of their personal information because that would break HIPAA laws. But let me see. How many people are currently in red? One, two, three. Three people within the past day. How many people do you know that have died? Three of them within the last day or so. So, anyways, back to what I was saying about, being a caretaker. A lot of times as a caretaker, they feel very alone, overwhelmed. They don't want to say that they feel alone or overwhelmed, and they don't want to complain. Why? Because people are like, well, your mom's dying of cancer. How dare you? You know what I mean? Or I remember one of the ones that I would say most people may know who Nene Weeks is. And when her husband Greg, rest his soul in peace, was passing, he had colon cancer if I remember correctly. And she would go on social media every so often and say, or is it common for people who are dying to be mad all the time, be angry, talk to you crazy, whatever it was? And I'm paraphrasing what she said, but even I was one of those people watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta and pissed at her like, "Girl, are you serious right now? This man is dying of pancreatic cancer." And he say, "Yes, we know he's being, obnoxious to be like, I said I wanted a vegan, chef. That in itself is obnoxious because the fact that you could even afford a chef, just saying. But he over here on the TV screen complaining about her getting a chef that's vegan, but also does other types of whatever. He's mad about it because it's sort of like my little niece. Oh, shout out to Madison. When she was Madison is who she is, and I hope to be like her when I grow up. But Madison, we were at a, oh God, it's one of those little, I can't think of the name of it, but it's like a place with like an arcade kind of, and they have bowling and stuff like that, right? And Dave and Buster's, that's what it's called. And so we were ordering food, and of course I'm on Coco, I'm paying for everything, and she said she wanted shrimp, and so that are paying for all of these other children to eat, you kind of like, okay, well, I'll get you the shrimp, and they have like a sampler platter, right? So it had the shrimp, chicken tenders, and like hamburgers or something like that. And they brought out her hamburger, and it was, I mean, out her food, and it had hamburgers on there, the little small ones, and the cheese sticks and all that. And she was mad. She's like 7 at the time. And she's just like, why did you, I didn't order that. It's just like, you know what? You are so privileged right now. You in this privilege. I cannot with you in this privilege right now, sis. What are you doing? But that's my little 7-year old, 8-year old niece. She's now 13 or 14 now. But yes, obnoxious. But she's 100% herself. But I say that to say this: we could be ungrateful and don't even realize it, and obnoxious and don't even realize it. And it's just like, are you serious right now? You know. But with caregivers, that's how they get treated sometimes, or they feel that way, right? It's like this heavy, 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 heavy burden that I'm taking care of my mom who's passing, I'm taking care of my father who's passing, I'm taking care of my husband who's dying, I'm taking care of my sister who's dying. Like, it's a lot. And if they live in your home, it's 10 times worse sometimes. And let's just keep it a book, the patient also feels like a burden sometimes. I have patients that where it's like they could move in with their daughter or they could move in with whomever, but they don't want to feel like a burden. And then too, imagine this: when you think about your life and all the shit we want to complain about, imagine you've worked your whole life, right? They tell you to build, 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 buy a home, have kids, fill a home up with all the things like love and good furniture and good times and whatever, right? And you spent your whole, what, 60 years of life doing all that, and now because you have seen out a generation, but you okay, or maybe you have cancer, and so you need some assistance, right? So they put you in a senior living facility where you have your own little apartment, but you got 24-hour, nursing, blah blah blah, and you have to reduce your whole 4-bedroom house and all of the things that you bought, that you loved, that you hung, you chose those drapes and whatever it is, right? All the things that you accomplished and purchased in your life, and say you just need to reduce that to one room. I'm like, where are we putting my Chanel bag? It can't be over there. Can I even have my Chanel bag here at this place? I don't know. But because not everybody has dementia, not everybody has Alzheimer's, and even if they do, that doesn't mean they're not lucid at all times. Or let me say it like this: that doesn't mean that they're not lucid, which basically means that they're not. Their memory is degenerated, so they don't understand certain things, or they may not remember certain things that are important, like going to the restroom. They may not, just their body, for whatever reason, their brain doesn't even tell them to do it anymore. Things like that. But imagine that's your life. You built your whole life and your whole future, and now you're being treated like a baby again. Just saying. So, to the caregivers out there that will watch this video, stay strong. I understand it. Um, and also, too, I want to touch on this. A lot of times when people are dying or have passed, right? The caregiver feels a lift off of their shoulder. They're like, thank God. They can't say that though. So I'm here to say it. And it's not a negative thing, but you have a sense of relief that one, they're no longer in pain, and two, that that burden that you did have is gone. But with that burden is your loved one. And then there's a whole nother side to that, the grieving process. And everybody grieves differently. And I always try to tell people you cannot manage or micromanage someone's stress or their trauma. It's their trauma. What do you mean? But people try. We all do. Because we'll be like, why she with him? Why he with her? Like, whatever it is that we got going on in our lives. Girl, when you going to let your mama start running your life? Or, sir, you need to man up. Whatever it is that we have going on in our lives. And we all have something going on in our lives. Everybody needs to be on somebody's couch. I'm just saying. Y'all can say what y'all want. But since there's one thing, and there's not a lot of things that I know for sure, but there is one thing I know for sure is everybody has trauma. None of us escape it. So, since none of us escape it, guess what happens? We have triggers. And not all the triggers are bad, but think about it. If your mom passed away and you walk into the mall or to the Saks Fifth Avenue, the Macy's, and you're walking through the Macy's and you smell her perfume, triggering. Just saying. That guy that talks like your dad or your sister that you lost. Somebody makes the best seafood dressing that your grandmother used to make every Christmas or Thanksgiving. But they're not here anymore. It's trauma. And there's a process to death and dying that a lot of people don't know about until it's them. And I know everyone's built differently. Everybody understands the world and views the world through their experience. So everyone isn't going to be like Chanel. Everybody isn't going to be overly empathetic. But it's why I do what I do, right? But everybody isn't going to be. You know what I mean? And there's a place for the people like that in this world. And I know I sound like a contradiction saying that because those people annoy the out of me like they do. I'm just like, how do you not have any compassion? What the fuck is going on? And I've worked with people like that, and it's just like it's mind boggling. So, for example, I've worked with in hospice with a person who is a high up, very high up, and when I meet them and we're discussing the patients, going through this meeting where we're discussing with the doctors the patients if they've improved, if they have something going on, worsening condition, whatever it is, right? And they're like, we're talking about one patient, and it's like, oh, well, hopefully they're gonna die soon. It's like, are you serious? The audacity is, listen, I'm telling you, it's so back to what I was saying. Although I'm all sparkly and stuff like that, and I'm very compassionate and empathetic, and I can understand, and I try my best. I don't always get it right, but I try my best to put myself in other people's shoes so that I could understand or try to understand what they're going through, right? So that I can help them through the dying process or the death and dying process of the loved one, family members, people like that, right? But we do need people in the world that are a little more savage than me, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have a military. Cause I ain't built like that. I don't have that type of courage. I'm a real one, and I try my best to be honest with myself. And so, if everybody was like me, we probably would never have war. Now that I think about it, cause I was gonna say we would always lose at war, but no. Um, People are human beings, so we all know that people. Some people are just savages, but we need those type of people. I couldn't be the person that's in charge of the military. I couldn't be the person, working 16 hours somewhere for $2. I couldn't. I listen. I would go find me a bridge, good bridge. Okay, bye. I ain't playing with y'all, but no. The death and dying process is very challenging for people, you know. And I just wanted to come on here and talk about dementia and Alzheimer's and senile degeneration, because a lot of people, you would be surprised. I walk into buildings every day full of patients, full of patients who have dementia. And for the families, it's difficult. It's difficult to watch your favorite person, who was the smartest person in the room, not even know who they are or why they are there. Can't tell you. They're not oriented to the time, the day, themselves, the place, nothing. And their speech is disorganized. And you want to love on them, but they can't even remember who you are. Imagine that's your life. The great equalizer is death. This is a fact. No matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, how beautiful you are, how much power you have, death is coming to all of us, with or without our permission. It's coming. And so I encourage you all that if you have loved ones, hug on them sincerely, because you don't know when they're going to be gone. My brother died 2 months ago. I got a call from my cousin. It was just, I already knew something. I knew it. Because, he's one, everybody has that one cousin or family member that if they call you, it's like something is up. But they have access to everybody's phone number. Because I'm that girl, like, don't give nobody my number. Mm-mm. If I want them in my life, they'll know it. And it's not me being mean or anything like that. It's just what it is. As an adult, you learn to put, boundaries in place for the people who don't value you. Because I'm valuable. Let's be very clear, okay? She's valuable. And I know my value and my worth. And so I let people show me who they are, and then I move on. And if I love you, I will reach out to you, but it's gonna be on my terms. And I'll come hang out with you, whatever, my terms. Because I want, if when you die, that I don't have anything that I'm like, I was so mean, I cut that person off and they deserved it. But I have something called forgiveness. Forgiveness, in my mind, frees us from the burden of, I was going to say the burden of hate, but it's the burden of anger, right? Because some people don't, in our minds, deserve forgiveness. But if you're a believer and God tells us to forgive, then, you should go ahead and try that. But I know a lot of times it's difficult. So what I learned to do over the years, especially as being a therapist, is I'm not going to allow other people to determine my actions, so to speak. So you know how like somebody to piss you off or they're done something really egregious, whatever the case may be. And if they're in your family, it's hard to just cut those ties a lot of times, right? Especially if it's your mom, your sister, your brother, whomever, somebody really close to you. So, or your grandmother. So you develop boundaries and you say, okay, well, I love you, grandma, but you're irritating this. Like you're not gonna say that to her, right? But what I would do is, hey, listen, once a month or every Sunday, because I love you and I don't want to miss any time with you, but I got to deal with you in doses. Every Sunday, I come pick you up. We're going to go to church and then we're going to go to Luby's or whatever, Papado, wherever it is you want to go. And that's going to be the time that I spend with you. So that whenever the end comes, if I'm afforded that, I can say, and I'm still alive is what I'm getting at. I can say, I did as much as I could to see that person, love on them, but not to my own detriment. Which is why I say you got to put boundaries. And that's with anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. You get to a point in life, most of us, I would say, where you realize and you recognize certain things are important and others are not. And you try to focus on the things that are. And honestly, that's the reason for this video. Because the work that I do is watching people die and helping them plan their death. It's a serious job. Being nice and bubbly and happy, they already got the worst scenario going on. And that's even if they're available to even talk to you. A lot of my notes are, patient looked at peace. Patient, was in an environment that was clean and, you know, temperatured right, whatever. that you're documenting about it, because sometimes those people are so lethargic or comatose, you can just really describe what the room looks like, what the patient looks like, that type of thing. And you can ask questions and you can talk to their loved ones about, or how they're, are they sleeping more, like 18 hours a day? When's the last time they ate? Because not eating and not drinking water is a good indicator that that person is on their way out, and sleeping a lot too, typically. But I'm not a medical professional in that capacity. I ain't go to school for medicine. I'm not a nurse or anything like that, but I'm a medical social worker. But I'm just saying those are some of the indicators. Then you have those people and they doing that, and then they stay alive for another 3 months. You be like, what in the, happy for them on one hand, but not on the other hand. So, I mean, listen, sometimes I walk into the rooms where my patients are, and skin and bones. It's harsh. It's hard. And those people aren't connected to me biologically or otherwise. They're connected to me via my job. And you see that skin and bones. You just like, oh my God. So that's why sometimes you just kind of like, I'm not happy that they're gone, but I'm happy that they're no longer here suffering. It's unimaginable to watch that day after day. So for all of the people that are on the internet that are like, most people love me. I'm gonna just say that. If they know me, they love me. I'm just saying. But there are a few people that I irritate them because I'm intelligent and I'm not gonna let them talk to me crazy, whatever it is, or tell me some dumb shit. And I'm just like, no, I'm gonna call you on your shit. But you're not for everybody. But some people just love to hate me. It just is what it is. And those people, I call them their fans. They follow me around the internet. And anyway, but it's why my job and what I've done for, I'm 45, past 30 years or so, well, 25 years or so, has been in the help of others. Always. Always in the help of others. It's just how I'm made. Just like some people are made to go, be innovators, other people are made to be servers. Some people, do really well in, construction, whatever it is, your teacher, being a teacher, being a leader, whatever your role is, we all have a role. And I know mine. But I know that there are people on this earth that are like, ugh, here comes Chanel. Yep, she's here. Get into it. Because I'm into it. I'm just saying. No, but yeah, so whenever I come on here, it's for entertainment. It really is. But sometimes we have little, hot discussions, and things happen like what happened last night on Dr. Witch Doctor. Shout out to Dr. Witch Doctor. I love me some Dr. Witch Doctor. He was not evaluating. He was reviewing somebody else, and something they said to him or whatever. And then I came on there, and because I was bored watching The Little Mermaid, and I came on there and not intentionally, but I know I could push people's buttons a little bit sometimes. And so I was talking about whatever it is that they were talking about. But the point is, Dr. Witch Doctor got paid like $700-800 last night because people was dropping me, and then people were paying money to bring me back. So somebody dropped me on the panel. I rarely get dropped. That was the first time actually that I got dropped on Dr. Witch Doctor show. So I got dropped, and then Romello, shout out to Romello. He sent a 50 ball, right, to bring me back. He was like, oh, fuck that. We not bringing, no. Bring Chanel back. So he sent a 50. Somebody else sent another 50 to drop me again. Then Romello brought me back again. Then somebody else was like, nope, she got to go. Then Romello sent 100 ball. Oh my God. Then they went 100 ball back and forth, ping pong, ping pong. I was like, I feel very loved around here. I know some people are like, no, ma'am, you're probably hated. That's why they know. But I felt love and hate at the same time. Didn't Drake say that's jealousy, love and hate at the same time? Anyway, no, but that's why I come on here sometimes, because it's an outlet. You know what I mean? For all of the heaviness of my work, it's an outlet to come on here and listen to some people just say dumb shit, and you just be like, really? But honestly, it's an outlet too for me to, sometimes I know everybody ain't gonna believe me or whatever, but there's people listening in the clouds, and there's people listening in the chat, and people even on the panel with you that may agree with you, may not disagree with you, but some people are gonna learn from you. I know that for a fact. It just is what it is. And so even if there's, 90% of it is noise. That 10% that will get through, that's the reason I'm here. But I think JD, is it J? Hold on, somebody came. Okay. Mr. JD said he took care of his mother when she was dealing with dementia. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It was tough. Yeah. Listen, that's why I say I try my best and I don't always get it right. But just listen, love on your loved ones, hug on them, love on them. And like a lot of times when I go out to meet with the parents of the loved one, whoever they are, the mother, the father, the dad, the spouse, whoever they are, I tell them take as many videos as you can, take as many pictures as you can. I'm that person in general. I was social media, before the selfie was a thing. I was always taking pictures. When I was 16, the first when I got a job, I was like, "Yep, I need to take these photos so my daughter know what I look like." That mama was a brick. Doom doom doom. Yeah, because we know we gonna gain weight. We ain't gonna be as cute as we were in high school, whatever. I mean, but I'm still cute. I'm just saying. Just saying. Anyway, um, but I encourage them to take as many pictures and video. Video is better in my opinion because a picture captures a moment, which is great, but video captures time. And so for me, I'm like, capture that time that mom is, in there cooking with you for Christmas, or, uh, she was telling you, yo, your sock it to me cake isn't as good as her sock it to me cake, or, whatever it is. Mom going to church and getting dressed, and, whatever it is that mom, dad, sister, brother, whoever your loved one is that's passing or that's suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, before it's so egregious, because it's going to come. Try to capture that time when you can. And that's why I say pay attention to the positive and love on people that you can love on, because not everybody makes it. We're all not, none of us are going to make it. Let's be very clear about that. But what I'm saying is, we all think, all of us think an unconscious thought, right? That whoever it is that we love are going to be here tomorrow, or they're coming home from the store. They are going to make it home from work. They're going to make it to work. And literally, some people never make it there. I watch enough 2020, first 48, whatever, Dateline, 48 hours, and just the work that I do, I know that they're not. And so, all I can do is encourage you guys, take time out for what matters. Listen, I love to say I'm made for 5-star hotels and room service, and I am. I feel like I was royalty in my other life. I'm just keeping a book because I'm just drawn to that. But what I'm saying is, us and our hair and our fingernails getting done and our makeup and driving the fanciest car and the nicest house. And for those that don't need none of that, just, maybe they watching football and that's good for them. Whatever it is, stop for a moment. Take time to value the people that's in your life. I'm just saying. Because you don't know, tomorrow's not promised. Tonight ain't promised. Tomorrow morning ain't promised. There are going to be people, I can tell you, there are people right now suffering because not everybody gets a social worker in their life and a final moments team of people to help the family through the anticipatory grief process. Why? Because not everybody knows when they're gonna die, right? Or have an estimate. If you get pancreatic cancer, there's an estimate that your doctor is creating based on some research that somebody has about that. So you have some time, maybe, depending on if when you get diagnosed. And I'm not a medical professional, so please go and see your own medical doctor. I'm not a medical doctor or anything like that. But the patients that I have, the people that I see, and others that are like me on our team, they have sometimes it's very little time, but most of the time I have them for a few months at least, sometimes years. It just depends. But those people are afforded. It's like a bittersweet because you're afforded time to make time for those memories. Whereas the person that you know, the 18-wheeler hit them and they gone, just like that. And guess what? The hard part is the world moves on. We live in a savage world sometimes. So what you're saying is my brother-in-law got hit by the car, and I need to mourn him for 3 days, 3 to 5 days. That's all I get because that's all I clearly need as a human being is 3 to 5 business days to just make arrangements for that person that was the closest to me to bury them. It's the funeral business. Don't even get me started. It's a very lucrative business. Why? Because like I said, people dying every second. It's never gonna close their business. It's just not. It's always gonna be a lucrative business. But my point is this: how do you cope with? It's so instant because our world is so savage that they only give you 3 to 5 business days, and that's if you work for a company that gives a shit. But you're supposed to go home, make these arrangements for your loved one, your mom, your dad, your brother, your husband, your cousin, whoever it was, your child. You're expected to make all of these big decisions within a week. My husband's cousin, she's very, very close to me. She's like my sister. She lost her sister a few years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, and then her mom about 3 weeks ago. She's not okay. And she has money, but it's extremely expensive just to even get it cremated. Get your person cremated. When I say extremely expensive, listen, it could be $1,500 or $2,000 or $4,000, whatever it is that the level of experience you want to have, so to speak. But not everybody has $1,500 to just get their person cremated. They one tire blowout from being homeless. Like I said, hospice care can be extremely expensive. Healthcare is extremely expensive, so it pisses me off when you hear these people talking about Medicare. We need to cut this and cut that, and it's like, yeah, you could say that because you got free healthcare. You work for the government. You got free healthcare. Shut the hell up. How do I know I used to work for the government for many years? So shut up. You don't want the taxpayers to get free healthcare, but your ass benefiting from it. Like I said, I digress. I'm not even gonna go down that road. But it frustrates me because I have patients that are literally just draining their bank accounts, paying for a level of care that they're not gonna be able to afford, and they know they ain't gonna be able to afford it for 2 more years. All they have left is 1 year worth of money. And it's draining their account. Because guess what? Public assistance requires that you have no assets. I'm paraphrasing, but you get what I'm saying. If you know, you know. They're not about to give you no extra food stamps and you got a car that's paid for and they could see it. They're going to say, you can sell that car so you can buy food. Be clear. Mm-hmm. Listen, you don't want to be in trouble with the people with 3 letters. This, that. CPS, APS, IRS. Listen, you don't want those type of problems. But the healthcare system in this country is unfair, and it is what it is. Some people would say, well, in third world countries or whatever, they don't even get this, and you're right. But I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about the people who are the least of us, meaning they're sick. They can't make their needs known to you. They can't even tell you what's wrong, what's hurting, what's this, that, and the third. And we kicking them to the curb, and not giving them we're not making them medically comfortable. It's a lot. And that's why I say, no matter what your job is, because some people look at my job and be like, oh, that's not that bad. Because we can always compare our jobs and compare whatever it is that is happening in our life, all our trauma, all whatever. We could compare it. Like I said, I couldn't be a military person. I ain't built like that. And I recognize who I am. I know exactly who I am. But I'm sure there's somebody with a more hazardous job or a more gory job or more egregious job, whatever it is. Working conditions are worse or bad. Um, but I'm saying all that to say this. If you are one of those people who are taking care of someone who's suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia or senile degeneration or any of those things, give yourself a hug. You deserve a hug. Take a nice hot shower or a bath or whatever it is. And if you don't have a ton of money, but you got, whatever you got in your refrigerator, get in there and whip something up. Listen, if you have Alexa, you could ask her some stuff. She'll help you figure out what to make. You know what I'm saying? I have to do that with myself sometimes. I do, and I'm mostly in a good mood for the most part, um, and very forgiving. I feel like I've been blessed and cursed with the same thing. So I'm very forgiving, and I can move forward with people even if they've been mean to me or something like that, and they probably don't deserve it. Let me be clear, but I can move forward because I feel like our Creator put it in me to not like. I just some days I'll be mad at somebody before I go to sleep, and I wake up the next morning, I'm like trying to search my brain like, what the I know I was supposed to be mad at somebody, like, you know what I'm saying, but I can't, because God just takes it away and, throws it in the sea of whatever forgiveness, I guess. But sometimes I'll be like, I really want to stay mad at them because they did something, and I can't. So it's fine. But I'm making light of that, but I'm saying, listen, I think about my own health a lot. And I've shared with people, I'm like, I've been diagnosed with lupus. I have three, what do you call them? What do they call? I was gonna say immunodeficiency, but it's not. I can't even remember what it's called. But basically, it's when your body works against itself. Autoimmune disease, right? I have three autoimmune diseases, and lupus is one of them. And one of the things with lupus, which is crazy, but sunlight is does it could just like do ravage your body as a person, and it's like it's hot in Houston, so I need to move to a colder climate. Like what? But no, it can like it drains you. It messes up your all your wiring, and you're tired, and it's not the same type of tired that people would think about. And that's what I've struggled with over the years, because the type of autoimmune diseases I have, you can't look at me and tell I'm sick, but I am. Imagine someone who has like arthritis, but their hands aren't disfigured, but they have all this pain, right? Or like if I looked like a person that had cancer, then people would understand it better, if that makes sense. What I have is nowhere near cancer, and I'm not comparing it in any way. Let me be very clear about that. But I'm saying I don't look sick. And you know what? I got another diagnosis a few months ago. This shit rocked my whole ass world. I was in here in my little YouTube studio, and I remember my doctor was supposed to have been calling me because I had an endoscopy, like 2 weeks prior, a week prior. So I thought that's what they were calling me about. No, it listen took all my breath away. The lady that called me, the what is it? The physician's assistant called me, and she was like, I thought she was gonna tell me what was going on, what they discovered in the endoscopy, because my husband's like, "Oh, the doctor said everything was fine, blah blah." So I thought she was just like, just following up to make sure I understood it, because I was under, general anesthesia. And you're not gonna remember a lot of things when that happens. It's the best sleep in the world. I'm just say that. But no, she said you have cirrhosis of the liver, and I said, "Say what? What you mean? I don't even drink. Like I drink, but I don't drink. Like I order drinks because they pretty. Let's just be clear. That's what I do. I order drinks because they pretty. And when she said that to me, you listen. I felt like somebody hit me in the chest with a baseball bat. I was like, what? So you get diagnosed with lupus last year. Your house catches on fire right after you get diagnosed with lupus. Then this year, they like, yeah, you got cirrhosis of the liver. It's just like some days I'd be like, throw in the towel, I quit life, I'm done. I'm done. I am. And that's why I say the work that I do, no matter how frustrated I get, there's two things in the world that'll always bring me back to reality. The first one is children. Because no matter what type of day you having, they will come and they'll be with their little 6 or 7 year old mind and tell you something. You'll be like, how did you know how to use that word in the right tense? Like, it's just, they'll just say stuff. Like, it's crazy. Like, Madison came one time. Madison is 8 now, but she has a twin, Mackenzie. And I was in the room and they were visiting because they live to come to Aunt Coco's house because I got all the snacks, whatever. But anyway, Madison comes in. No, Mackenzie comes in and she says, Coco, Madison is getting on my nerves. I was like, what she do, baby? She's like, she's saying I'm twerking. And Coco, I was not twerking. Just hilarious to me, because I'm just like, Mackenzie doesn't like to be lied on. That's one of my pet peeves. But they're both my little Leo besties. So Mackenzie hates to be lied on. I can't stand that shit either. So here comes, I say, Maddie, come here. Maddie comes in. I said, what did you do? So she's like, she was, let me show you. And I'm like, oh my God. And the thing is, Maddie could dance. Mackenzie, I hope she never sees this. Mackenzie, I'm joking if you ever see this, my love. But Mackenzie, the way she be, it be so offbeat. I be like, oh. I'm gonna show it at your wedding though. Be clear. But no, So that's one thing that always, no matter what kind of day I'm having, that'll always bring me back to laughter. And then honestly, when I go to work every day, no matter how bad I think I have it, when you start visiting your patients and you realize how bad they have it, no matter how bad you feel about whatever your life circumstances are, you like even me saying, I have lupus and all that, even with that, I'm nowhere even in the same hemisphere with what my patients are going through. Not even a little bit. And I'm in pain almost every single day. So, anyways, I'm gonna end the live here. I've been on here for about an hour with you guys. Thank you for the people who tuned in. I did see you. I didn't see all your comments, but I'll go back and read them later. Um, Shout out to all of my, subscribers. I love you guys. If this is your first time, please hit the, like and subscribe button. It's a free and easy way to support my channel. I'm not on here every day. I don't have consistent um, content because I'm busy taking care of the world. I'm busy taking care of people who are, unfortunately, uh, actively dying. In the time when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to love on my family. And when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to shop and sex or whatever, eat out. These are the things that I like to do in my life. And then when I'm not doing that, I got my dog and at me. Because he thinks the world revolves around him. No, the world revolves around me. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm joking. But yeah, the thing that I do whenever I am down in the dumps about something, frustrated, whatever it is, I always try, even though I know it's going to get me back in a good mood, because sometimes I'll be fighting it. I put on a comedy, something like Horrible Bosses. That shit, like, that really makes me laugh. But Dave Chappelle is I feel like he's an excellent comedian because he's always thinking about things in a different way that I never thought about it. And it's really funny. So I encourage people, if you are dealing with things and you're feeling down in the dumps and you have, what's the right word? A depressed mood for the day. Things don't seem to be working right and everything going wrong. Put on a comedy. Put on a comedy. It's not to say that it's going to change your situation, but at least you can be in a better spirits to cope with it. So, anyways, guys, like I said, bye everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Chanel's Reality. I'm Chanel, and this is my reality. Talk to y'all guys later. Bye. I am going to lay down.